Hello everyone! Welcome to another Faction Focus by Glasshammer Gaming. Today we are going to be looking at Thousand Suns because it was a request. So let's get straight into it, guys. If you enjoy our content and you haven't so far, please hit that subscribe button, notifications bell in the bottom corner so you know each time we release one of these videos and you don't miss out on any of our content. Also, guys, we are taking requests right now for faction focuses. So if you have a request, please leave it in the comments below and we will get around to it. So we've had a Thousand Suns one and we've had a Black Templars one. And that's why this week's faction focus is Thousand Suns. And next week, I believe the 4th of January, it's going to be 3rd January or 4th of January, something like that. Next Wednesday, you will be getting the Black Templars faction focus. Right, so let's hit it off with the Thousand Suns. Of course. The tier list, Aaron. The tier list. I believe these are S tier. S tier.
Tzeentch and Thousand Suns are the best in the game right now.
Yes, so this is... We are talking right now about the most powerful faction in the game. Yes. That is what we're talking about. Absolutely. So Thousand Suns are at the top. Right, like 100% at the top. I believe the reason why we were asked to do this faction focus is because some people don't know all the tricks and why Thousand Suns are at the top of the meta right now. You know, in their local meta, maybe they've not had much of a chance to play against Thousand Suns, and they're trying to learn what they should do if they come across Thousand Suns and stuff. So that's what we're here for, right? So yeah. top of the S tier list. Why, Aaron?
Yeah. So Thousand Suns have always been that army that some people have always tried to do. They've always been a bit like complicated. They have all their parts. But recently, when the Demons Codex came out, Thousand Suns gain access to Tzeentch demons as allies. Yeah. And when you put that together with Thousand Suns, which I'll get onto now, they basically became the best army in the game.
For sure.
You know, like first things first, they're Tzeentch, so they get access to Flamers. You know, if you see our faction focus on demons, you know, we talk Flamers are one of the best units in the game right now. They are so versatile and they fill in a niche role that Thousand Suns lack. You know, one of the weaknesses in Thousand Suns, which you know we'll see, is their speed. They are quite slow. There are ways around that through things like teleportation, etc. But they're not overly fast. Flamers give that speed. They give that reach. They have great shooting, great output. Things that Thousand Suns really lack that now they actually were given with the release of Demons.
For sure.
And that links up with the Fate Skimmer. The Fate Skimmer being such an amazing caster for Tzeentch and giving access to great powers like Bolt of Change, Infernal Gateway, etc. And through the Kabbalistic rituals, being able to cast those powers again with your psychic, with your Thousand Suns Psychers, create some pretty ridiculous combos that can end up with a lot of more runes. And that's one of the big things as well. Mortal runes right now are really good in the meta, and Thousand Suns can absolutely dominate in that.
Yeah, so I totally agree with Aaron there. Like the Tzeentch demons being taken in Thousand Suns is very, very strong. They give them access to a lot of things like the speed. The speed is something that Thousand Suns don't have in abundance, and having like 3 units of flamers that can move 12 and they can advance and then they can shoot, or they can move 12 and raise a banner, like, you know, do actions because they fly and stuff like that, and they have 12-inch regular movement, which is hard to find elsewhere in Thousand Suns. But also the fact that they can move so fast and then still shoot afterwards and do a bucket ton of damage currently is the reason that they're so good. And like Aaron says, there's that Fate Skimmer. However, so this is S tier, and they are at the top of the S tier, in my opinion. However, if you take the Tzeentch demon section out of it, if you cut the Tzeentch demons out, in my opinion, they are still S tier. They're just not right at the top of the S tier anymore, but they are in the S tier still. 100%. This is the best faction in the game right now. Like... There are others that can play against them and give them a game, depending on board type. Because remember, this is a big, big thing that we talk about as well, is terrain. The terrain setup that you are using and you are playing in has the biggest impact on your meta and what's at the top of your meta and stuff like that. Now, currently, that's Thousand Suns. They have great maneuverability. When you add in Tzeentch, they have even more maneuverability. But just in their own, they have decent maneuverability. So they're not very fast, but they're deceptively
Yeah, mobile.
Like mobile, yeah. So what I mean by that is you don't have 12-inch moving, 15-inch moving units, but you have a unit that can teleport with a crystal. You have another unit that you can teleport with the duplicity power. You then have one unit that can double move. So you've got these 3 units
Yeah.
that are going around every turn. You're like, okay, that's how you're getting your maneuverability, by doing different things other than using fast moving units, teleporting around the board and such. So you
Yes.
have these, like tools in your back pocket, and that's what is making them so strong right now in the current meta. So you have great maneuverability, you have really good psychic powers, you
Yeah.
have some good shooting, you do have some combat as well, counterpunch with Scarab Cult Terminators and things like that. So you've got a little bit of everything. You're a very toolbox army. Now this is where it really comes in. They
Yeah.
have incredible secondaries.
It's their scoring, their ability to passive score,
Yep.
which is something which has been taken out for a lot of armies in the game. The ability to sit back, score loads of points, very very consistent points as well,
Yeah.
and have the threat of counterpunch that if you try and go into them to try and make them play the game more, they will just come out and they will clear you.
This is the
Is
thing.
really really strong.
This is what is doing it for me. It's the fact
Yeah.
that they have so many good options in every single phase. Like
Yes. Yeah.
they have great options in every single phase of the game, and then also on top of that, they have amazing secondaries.
Yes. Yeah. It's
Like
both.
and one of the reasons why I think they're at the top is because of Wrath of Magnus.
Hmm.
Now, the reason why I think this is they have good options to do a psychic secondary.
Yeah.
They can do warp ritual, they can do mental interrogation, they can do
Yeah.
mutate landscape, and the reason why they can do those without fear in any game is because of their Kabbalistic rituals. Now,
Yes.
there is one Kabbalistic ritual where as soon as you cast a power or successfully pass a psychic action, you can spend 8 Kabbalistic ritual points. It's either 7 or 8. I think it's 8. You spend 8 Kabbalistic ritual points, and your power cannot be denied, or your action
Yeah.
cannot be denied. So you can reliably do a psychic action in every single game, a psychic secondary, without it being denied. So you
Yeah.
have no fear. That's one in the bag. You then can also do the other category that they have,
Yeah.
raise the banners. Yes, you can also do raise the banners because you can play a very passive game in pretty
Mhm.
much every mission. When you look at the board, there's always 2, sometimes even 3, but there's like
Yeah.
always 2 objectives that you can raise banners on and defend very well with Thousand Suns, especially with all of your Rubric Marines and all of your Scarab Cult Terminators being not only objective secured but also fearless. They don't run from morale.
Yeah.
They don't suffer from morale. They're just going to stay. Even if there's one there, they're going to stay. And they're all obsec, including the Terminators. And that's what makes them so good at scoring banners. So you're going to score
Mhm.
banners in pretty much every single game you play. You are then going to score a Psychic Secondary in pretty much every single game that you play. And then you can actually do secondaries in all 3 of the other categories. You have 2 that you're always going to take, and then you have
Yeah.
another 3 that you can take sometimes. For
They
example,
have. Yeah.
your opponent brings a lot of vehicles. You're going to bring it down, and you'll get it because you do a load of mortal wounds. You can take vehicles out. If your opponent's not bringing anything to the table, you can take behind enemy lines or engage on all fronts, depending on how you've built your Thousand Suns list. If you've got some
Mhm.
Zangor Enlightened in there, which underrated unit, guys, not very many people use the Zangor Enlightened, and I used them for the first time in the US Open Kansas, and to great success. I had loads of success with them. They were very, very good, versatile unit. That's what I found anyway. And they've started appearing in a couple of lists since then. Um, and they are a unit I wanted to let you all know about, guys. If you're a Thousand Suns player out there and you're not using Zangor Enlightened, have a look into them, man. They're very, very good. And then also the other one I want to talk about is Wrath of Magnus. And that
Yeah.
Wrath of Magnus is one of the reasons I believe they're at the top of the meta.
In the
Now
current
why?
meta.
Yeah, in the current meta. Now why? You might ask why. And this is the reason for it. A lot of the other top armies out there, S tier armies and A tier armies, right? A lot of these other armies do have at least one Psyker in their army. Now why? And you go, why wouldn't you just cut it out? Well, you go, well, Harlequins. Their Shadow Seers are badass. They do a lot of damage. They give them access to Weave Veil, which is their
Yeah.
psychic secondary. They do a lot. So Harlequins, you could take Wrath of Magnus all of a sudden. You're playing so Harlequins is like another S tier army. So you're like, oh, I'm playing against another S tier army. Ah, but they've bought Psyker. Now that gives me Wrath of Magnus, and I've got the advantage.
Yeah.
That's massive. And then you look at some of the others, and you go, Chaos Space Marines right now.
Yes,
Emperor's Children, absolutely massive. But they'll have a Master of Possession because he's very, very bloody good. He grows Terminators back, makes their charges better, gives them +1 toughness, gives them 5 for no pain. He's crucial. You're going to take him. Oh, there you go. There's another army I've got Wrath of Magnus against now that I'm going to do great against. Kraken Tyranids are now one of the armies that are A tier, in my opinion. They're right up there. And then you're like, oh, but they're going to have a Neurothrope because Catalyst and Onslaught, you can't really play a Tyranid game without Catalyst and Onslaught, really. So there's another army that I can now take Wrath of Magnus against. And it's that thing there that you're like, right, the fact that I have this one secondary that works very well against all the other armies at the top of the meta, that, in my opinion, is what makes them so good.
Yep.
What do you think about it, Aaron?
No, exactly. It's currently a lot of the good armies in the game rely on the psychic secondary, as you say. Like a lot of these, especially something like Chaos. Chaos are very strong. Emperor's Children are really strong. But 90% of their games, they want to be taking a psychic secondary, which means they have these psychics in their armies. And Thousand Suns, it's easy picking for them. They get Wrath of Magnus pretty much 10 to 15 in every single game that there is a psyker there. And also, these people bringing Psykers also means that Abhor the Witch, which normally if you play Thousand Suns, you might be worried about that. You might say, oh, wait, if I'm taking an army full of Psykers, aren't I going to give away Abhor the Witch? Well, a lot of these armies are taking these Psykers, so they can't take Abhor the Witch. So not only do you gain Wrath of Magnus, but you don't give away anything for taking the Psykers.
It's absolutely huge. Yeah. And they're one of the only armies in the game where all of their secondaries are good.
Yes, all
what is it? No, 3. 3 of the 4 are good.
3, right?
3 of the 4 are good.
Yeah.
Well, all 4 are good.
All 4 are options, right?
All 4 are options, but it's what they can do with them is insane.
Yeah.
Like, it's kind of like Necron level. Because you can just go, okay, I'm going to take Wrath of Magnus and just cast more powers than you, max that out. I'm going to mutate Landscape, do it on 4 or 5 objectives, max that out, and then I'm just going to take Sorcerer's Prowess.
Yeah, Sorcerer's Prowess is actually a little hidden gem.
Yeah.
For people that haven't been using it, like you can, at least in Nephilim, the way they changed it in Nephilim, you can rack up a lot of points.
Yeah, guys, so I played a game where I played against Yunari, and my opponent had put his Incarn and his Warlock that were on foot behind a unit of 5 Shining Spears. Now, I hit that unit with an Infernal Gateway. That did 3 mortal wounds to the Warlock and killed him. 2 mortal wounds on the Incarn and then damaged the bikes a little bit. But then that let me then do Bolt of Change. So the Infernal Gateway killed the Warlock. So unfortunately didn't get any points for that. That's what I heard of it. So because obviously every character that you kill with Sorcerer's Prowess gets you 5 points. And I was gutted about that. I was like, oh man, like the Infernal Gateways kill the Warlock. That wasn't supposed to happen. But even after that, because then the Incarn got damaged a bit, and then I did a Bolt of Change on him as well, and took another 4 wounds off him, so he was down to like 6. After that, when my Thousand Sun Sorcerer started to kick off, they took the bikes out from in front and killed the Incarn with Zinch's Firestorm and Doombolt. And I was like, oh wow, like, even though my Warlock got killed by the Demon, so like your Warlock got killed by the Demon Psyker, not my Thousand Suns, I still got 8 points. And all I did was kill a unit of Shining Spears and the Incarn. And that gave me 8 points on a single secondary because there's no cap to it. So if the Warlock would have survived on a wound or 2, which was the plan, it was to like damage him, and then he also died to a smite from my rubric, because I left the front rubric squad that was like, they could see some bikes, but as soon as like 3 of the bikes got taken out, they would have smoked the Warlock. So I was like, if that would have happened and the Warlock survived and then he got smoked, I would have gained 13 points in a single turn for killing those things. It's absolutely insane because both the Incarn and the Warlock are psychic characters.
Which is 5 points. It's ridiculous.
It's just crazy, right?
Actually, and it's especially when you have Bolt of Change and having the opportunity to pair boulder change with like D3 extra mortals, if you can do it on the guy who can cast 2 with his warlord trait. Sorry, that they can use 2 Kabbalistic rituals
Yeah.
with his warlord trait, Arrogance of Eons. It's all these little combos you can do to get those character kills, which normally you'd be like, okay, well, sniping characters is still quite good, but when those characters are giving you 3 to 5 points uh, for your secondary, you
You
know,
know what? It sometimes changes the game.
yeah,
So I have played against Kraken Tyranids with my Thousand Sons, and it was a tough game until my opponent come over with the Tyrant,
yeah,
charged into my Terminators, did not kill the whole squad of Terminators, got stuck there, and then I was like, well, that's 5 points on Sorcerer's Prowess now.
yep.
Because he's a psychic character. And you're like, wow, just because he's gotten stuck there, I've just been gifted 5 points. And like those little situations like that, because you don't take it, of course, to go out there and kill psychic characters. That's not the point of it. The point of it is to kill 1 or 2 regular units every turn to just
Yeah.
get. Is it 2 points or 2 points?
It's 2 points for every unit, which is still amazing.
Yeah, so that's what you take it for. To get 2 points for every unit you kill here and there, and you kill 1 or 2 a turn, you're racking the points up, you'll get 10 to 15 on that quite easily, actually. But
Yep.
then you have this one turn where like a character just gets stuck there, and you're like, oh, you lived on 1 wound, you weren't supposed to, but I'm not moaning because that's going to give me 5 points.
Yeah.
So there's loads of little things like that.
If things don't quite go your way, things will still go your way in a different way, which is such a nice thing to do as a defensive player as well. Because when you're playing Thousand Suns, you are playing that defensive game, as we've said. Your secondaries sitting back are probably better than your opponents. But if they try and come to you, if you're taking something like Sorcerer's Prowess, if you needed to, because maybe they didn't have a psycho or anything like that, you're just going to be gifted points for them trying to engage you and trying to get you to play the game, which is good for you as well.
Now, another thing that I find quite interesting is this isn't an army like most others in the game. Like most others in the game go, right, I'm really good at getting primaries, but I'm not so strong on secondaries, so I need to deny my opponent some primaries
Yeah.
and just work on my secondaries while I smash my primaries out there. And other armies go, my primary game is not that strong, but my secondary game is insane, so I'm going to concentrate on my secondary game and I'll try and drop their primaries a bit because I'm not really very good at getting my own. Thousand Suns, that's not the case. Thousand Suns, they can get good primaries and good secondaries.
Yeah,
They just shoot right up there.
very all round.
Yeah, and there's only a couple of other armies in the game that can do that, like a handful. That's it. And that's what I find quite strong about them is in this Nephilim set, in pretty much every single mission, the Thousand Suns can go, I'm going to get 8, 8, 8, 8 on my primaries every
Yeah.
turn. You can do that quite reliably if you play them correctly. And that's 32 out of 45 already. And
Yeah.
then quite a lot of
Before
the
any.
time,
Yeah.
3 times maybe in a game, you can also do the bonus, which will be
Yeah.
either 2 points or 3 points usually. So you're going to be like, well, 32 plus 6 is 38 out of 45. I'm happy with that. Or if it's a
Sitting.
3 mission one, you'll get 41 out of 45 for literally standing still. And you're like, wow, I'm getting 5 less primary points than you, or 4 less primary points than you if you max them out.
If you
I'm
max
still
them.
only getting like 4 less primary points than you, and I've got 3 great secondaries, and you probably haven't at that point.
Yeah.
So that's one thing that makes the Thousand Suns very, very strong as well. Now, a lot of what we're talking about, guys, let's go into the cults because I think
Yeah.
duplicity is the main one, but
Yeah.
duplicity is the only one, in my opinion, that is S tier Thousand Suns.
Yes.
And I genuinely believe that. I think if you take Cult of Duplicity, you are playing S tier Thousand Suns. But if you don't take Cult of Duplicity, you're not S tier anymore. You're still very good, but you're not S tier anymore. Not in my opinion.
I mean, it's what you said, right? The maneuverability that might not be on the surface level, but when you look at it, you gain all that maneuverability. You still have your crystal, and you still have
Temporal
double
Surge.
move.
Yep.
Temporal surge, but having the duplicity power every single turn, being able to teleport a unit of infantry every single turn, is something that is
It's huge.
Is so huge.
It is
For what you get
absolutely huge.
in other cabals, right? It's incredible.
Now, I might be wrong on this, but I don't think it's just infantry. I think it's monster as well.
Monster for the teleport?
Yeah. I think I may be wrong on that.
It is infantry and monster.
It's infantry and monster, right? That's it. Like your demon princes and stuff can be beamed around the board with this power, And people don't see things like that coming, you know,
No,
and
no, no.
it really hurts. It does really hurt when you get, well, not you, it really hurts your opponent
Oh,
when you
you'll
get
love
there,
it.
right? So it's like,
Yeah,
I think
you pair that
that's
up.
quite good.
Yeah, you pair that up with the 1 CP for a teleport for a herald with your demons, and then as you say, you have the crystal in that one turn that you want it. That your opponent always has to screen every single turn of the game. You have to screen the duplicity. You have to worry about it.
Yeah.
It's huge.
So that is definitely one thing I wanted to mention there, is with the demons. Now, with the demons still in there, the other cults can be still quite good.
Yes.
Not the best, but still quite good. Because duplicity, with the teleporting every turn, with the crystal, with temporal surge, then with the Zinch demons with their herald on the chariot that can move so fast, also teleport, also the flamers, your maneuverability is just insane.
Yes.
Now, if you only take the one layer away and you take duplicity out for Cult of Magic or Cult of Time, which are the other
Yeah.
two good ones, then
Yeah.
you're still valid. Like, you're still going to do well. But in my opinion, not S tier anymore. I think you're A tier because losing that teleport every single turn is massive. That wins games.
Yeah. Yeah.
I've
Yeah.
had
Absolutely,
games
it does.
where teleporting turn 4 with 2 units, or teleporting turn 5 with 2 units, even because I saved my crystal, has won the game. But if I could only do
Yeah.
one or none of them, I would have lost the game.
Yeah.
So
I,
there have come times like that, absolute like clutch times where duplicity comes in absolutely massive. So I think
yeah.
that's the main thing that I want to say. Like, imagine now you peel back the demon layer, take the demon layer off, right?
Yeah.
So
Duplicity can.
yeah, so you don't have that fate skimmer, and
Yeah.
you don't have the flamers. So you've lost a lot of maneuverability, you've lost some psychic output, and you lost some good shooting output there, right? Duplicity can still do really well.
Yes.
Duplicity
Absolutely.
on their own can still do very, very well. You can take like 30 Skybolt Terminators. One of them can double move. One of them can
Yeah. Yeah.
crystal teleport. One of them can duplicity teleport. So if you need to alpha, you can have 30 Terminators in
So,
someone's face turn
yeah.
one if you need to.
And
If not, you could play a very passive game. Then towards the
yeah.
end of the game, any one turn you want to explode, double move 1 unit, teleport 2 units, bang. That's a lot of hurt you could put on someone instantly, and the secondary game is still there. Raise the banners becomes even better because you have 30 Terminators
Yeah.
that aren't gonna die. So raise the banners becomes even better for you. Mutate landscape or a psychic secondary is exactly the same, and then you can still do sorcerer's prowess. You can still do Wrath of Magnus very, very well. Wrath of Magnus becomes even easier because you're pure Thousand Suns now. You have more points for Thousand Sun Psychers. So actually, that's why duplicity is so good still.
Famous sorcerer's prowess. Yeah.
Yes, but the minute you now go, oh, I've lost all the demons, and I'll take the duplicity away and go time and magic. Now, time and
Yeah.
magic are the other ones that I just wanted to mention because they're still good. Time and magic are still good, but they're probably A tier. You
I
know,
look at without demons. I
maybe
think
low A tier as well.
I think they're B without
Hmm.
demons
Yeah,
because they lose a lot.
yeah, I could see
I
that.
think with demons, they can happily be an A tier,
Yeah.
but I think the Duplessis is the only one that even touches the S. I agree with you there.
Mhm.
But as you say, like you go on to about time and magic, like, they still have options, which is always nice to see in a book that there are
Yeah.
other options to
So I
look at.
like time, guys. Is one thing that not a lot of people realize with time is you can make your charges very reliable with time.
Yep.
So
Yep.
if you have the crystal in your army, it becomes very good because you can kind of like, if you have a unit that you want to bait in to be shot and then charge with it, you kind of can with Thousand Suns. Like, what you can do with this Terminator unit is if you cast the -1 to hit on it, the Glamour of Zinch, if you cast Glamour of Zinch on it, cast Weaver of Fates on it. This unit now has like a 2-up save with Armor of Contempt, even a 1-up save on cover with
Yep.
Armor of Contempt, and the All Is Dust rule against 1 damage. Then they're -1 to hit, and they've got a 4-up invulnerable and 3 wounds each. And then what you can do is you can dangle one of those Terminators like outside of a ruin.
Yeah. And bait people.
Exactly. Your opponent shoots them, and you go, "Oh, you killed 2 Terminators," because it's very hard to kill those Terminators with all those buffs on them. And you go, "Oh, you've killed 2 Terminators. Okay, no problem. 2 have died. I've still got 8 behind the wall now, right?" The next turn, what you can do is you can use your crystal, you can teleport that unit 9 away, and then you can use the Cult of Time healing power, right?
Yep.
To bring a Terminator back. Now,
Time
this is
flies.
when you go, yeah. Now, this is when you go, right, I'm 9 inches away from you. I'm 9 inches away from you. Because that's how far the teleport could go. Normally you'd need
Yep.
a 9-inch charge. Maybe with a CP reroll, it becomes risky. Trust me, guys. I've played Thousand Suns for a long time now, and I've tried this. Sometimes it goes horribly wrong, but other times it goes incredibly well. But that just is a 9-inch charge. They are very, very risky, right? But you go in there and you go, right, I'm 9 inches away from you now. And now I'm going to heal a Terminator back in the unit. I'm going to grow a Terminator back with my Cult of Time power. And you go, right, well, 2 inches from me, I can put the Terminator down 2 inches away from my guys because you just got to be in currency. So you teleport with 2 Terminators. Everyone else can be wherever they want. But you have 2
Triangle.
Terminators right next to each other. And then you go, right, the third one, the one I'm going to bring back is going to go here. So he's just within 2 inches of this one and this one. So he's literally 2 inches in front of your squad. So you go, right, the back of his base is 7 inches away. Then you put this 40 mil base down, which is like 1.5 inches. So you go,
Yeah.
right, the back of the base is out of 7. The middle of my base is out of 6. But the front of my base is within 6 by like 1/2 inch. So you're like, I am now gone from being outside of 9, needing to roll a 9-inch charge, to being
6.
within 6 and only needed to roll a 5-inch charge. Now, a 5-inch charge with a CP reroll is insanely reliable. Like
Or
80% chance or higher, I believe. Yeah,
You
or
got
the
an
Infernal
Master
Master reroll. Yeah, so this is the thing. You'll have that the litany, the pact that the the guy can do, the Infernal Master, and you have one reroll in your back pocket. Then, so if you
Yep.
roll like a 3 and a 1, at that point you go, well, I'm just going to reroll the 1 then.
Yeah.
Because on a 2+ I'm in, right?
Yeah.
And there's like 84% chance of that going right for you. So you're like, wow, that's absolutely mental that you can make the charge so small. So I actually do like
Good luck.
having that option in Cult of Time. So that's why I think they are also still good. Now, a lot of the other cults are just there for banter, really. I don't think the other
There's
cults are
9,
very
right?
good at all. Yeah. Scheming, change, this, that, the other. Yeah, guys, you don't need to look at those. If you're looking to play competitively and you want to do well competitively, those are not the ones that you want to go with, really. So there we go. We've talked about the faction. We've talked about why they're so good, because I think this is what a lot of people didn't appreciate or didn't know per se, and that's why they wanted the requests.
Yeah.
Is why are Thousand Suns so good? Well, that's why they're so good. Everything we've spoken about so far is why they're so good. Now, just quickly, weaknesses or something that can give them good games, Aaron. What do you think?
Well, I think the first one that I want to talk about is Harlequins. I think Harlequins are a really interesting one. As you said, like because they can score so well as well.
Yeah.
They have really good options to score, and I think that those kind of armies that can score really highly can create really tight games.
Yes, they can.
I think armies that can put up a lot of pressure early on, especially going first, things like Blood Angels that can close the gap and get in there really quickly.
Yes.
Because once you start closing the gap, you can't fall back and cast powers. So they're only going to cast powers to the units you want them to cast powers on if you position correctly. So that could mean that they have to split their mortals, and when you're doing 2 mortals here, 2 mortals there to a few units, you're not actually fully killing anything.
For sure.
And that means that these armies like Blood Angels and things like that are able to actually deal quite a lot of bit of damage. And keeping the T-Suns enclosed on their deployment where they want to be. Units can be teleported out, but so long as you screen the backline and do a few things, you can actually get around that.
And this is one thing I wanted to mention as well, guys. This is another reason that the Thousand Suns are S tier. Because you've got to look at your meta and you've got to go, right, what's a bad game for these guys? And you go there, right, okay, Harlequins. Harlequins isn't a bad game. It's in the Thousand Suns' favour. But the Harlequins can give them a good game.
They can
because the Harlequins can go, right, well, I've got a Shadow Seer. I could take a Psychic Secretary, but that's what they want. Don't take a Psychic Secretary because the Thousand Suns will deny that. They have a stratagem, guys, where they can deny on 3d6. And it's not like everyone else's. It's not 3d6, pick the 2 highest dice. It's 3d6, add them together. So they will stop you scoring your Psychic Secretary for the majority of the game.
Yeah.
However, what the Harlequins can do is, like Aaron says, because they've got such great secondary options, they can go, well, I'll take Engage on all fronts, or I'll take behind enemy lines, and I know I can score stupidly high on that. I'll also take Deadly Performance because I know I can score stupidly high on that. And while I'm at it, I'll take banners. Because I know if I raise 2 or 3 banners and I'll run forward with 8, 9 boats full of stuff like light, you probably won't get to my banners either. or I'll take
Yeah.
retrieve no data, Noctari's data,
No
and go
data.
retrieve no data. Yeah, and I'll score that because I've got abundance of 5-man troop units in boats that can go and score that. So you actually have like a plethora of great options of secondaries. So
Yeah.
okay, that's one. But that's still in Thousands' favor.
Yeah.
So it's still in Thousands' favor because the Harlequins have to do a lot to score their secondaries there, whereas Thousands are playing passively. Blood Angels. Blood Angels is like the out and out bad matchup for Thousand Sons because Blood Angels don't rely on a Psyker either. They don't take a Psyker. They've got a bucket ton of fast moving combat. They can go from ruin to ruin and stage themselves, and then they can move 14 and charge with the banner. They're getting into you at some point, and that's going
Yeah.
to really hurt. That is a bad matchup for Thousand Sons. But you look at the meta and you go, Blood Angels aren't that great in the current meta. They're not going to smash everybody else at the top of the meta. So how many people are really going to bring Blood Angels that you need to be scared of?
Yeah.
Not very many. And that's another thing that comes into where factions go in this tier list and why Thousand Sons are in the S tier is the one matchup that is their out and out like bad matchup is not another army at the top of the meta right now. So you won't see it very often. Right? Now, for me as well, I think depending on the terrain you play on, I think Tau can give them a good run for their money. Now, I know a lot of people are saying Votan, but I disagree with the Votan thing massively because Votan could blow you off the board. I agree with some missions on the right terrain, they can just blow you off the board. However, you're going to score well still. You don't need very many Thousand Sons to live to max out Wrath of Magnus, to max out a Psychic Secondary. You've only got to do a Warp Ritual 3 turns. Like, go into the middle of the board, do Warp Ritual, and then double move backwards. Someone double moves you backwards, or you cast an extra power and double move yourself backwards 12 inches. You can do that for 3 turns before you get tabled. There's 12 points. You're raising your banners. You're probably going to raise 2 banners, and by the time you get tabled, turn 3 or 4, they come and take your banners down. You've already got 8 points, 9 points on it. Right? So there's 2 secondaries that you've just like batted up, and then Wrath of Magnus, that's just going as you go. So that's also going to smash up, So you can score your secondary so well against Votan, even while getting destroyed, but the Votan don't have good secondaries.
They don't.
They have terrible ones. So I don't think they can hold I don't think they can hold their ground against Thousand Sons. However, Tau, I think can. Now, Tau's a very, very interesting one. Tau comes down literally, in my opinion, to the composition of your Thousand Sons army.
Yep.
Because you need to have things put into your list to be able to go against armies like Tau that do not give you the option of Wrath of Magnus. So this is where those Zangor Enlightened come in that I was talking about. Like, they let you take engage on all fronts. Now, if you were to take 3 units of 3 Zangor Enlightened in your army, and this is what I found was very useful. If you take 3 units of 3 Zangor Enlightened in your army, you can double move them. You can use Temporal Surge on them. So you can double move a unit, get yourself 2 points and engage on all fronts. Yes, the tower just going to absolutely smash that unit. Three little goats on discs to bits. Yeah, they're dead. Cool. But you can do that for 3 turns with 3 Enlightened units and get 6 points on engage on all fronts. Now, 6 points is low. It is low. But obviously you can do it in later turns with other units in your army, depending on if you've gone first or second in the final turn. What you can do it with becomes like a big option. However, you might look at it and go, well, in the first 3 turns, that's pretty rubbish. Like, only getting 6 points on engage on all fronts and then seeing what you can do at the end. That's not that good. However, if you look at point for point, like, they're going to give you engage for 3 turns. They're only 150 points in your army, 160 points, 162 points, I believe, for 3 units of Zangor. Now, 162 points to get 6 points on engage on all fronts, in my opinion, is fantastic. They can also move block, where your opponent goes and stuff. But the main thing is, they're only 6 wounds per squad. So if that Tau army, in 3 turns, picks up all 3 Zangor Enlightened units, which they will if you go to score with them, they've only done 18 wounds of damage. So they get 1 point on no prisoners. You've gone and got 6 points on engage on all fronts, and they've got 1 point on no prisoners. So what they give away compared to what they give you is a massive, trade up for taking them in points wise. So you want to be doing stuff like that so that you don't auto lose to Tau, because otherwise you will. If you can't take a third good secondary, you're going to struggle because their primary game will be better than you, because whatever you put out on that middle objective is dead. I don't care, guys. I don't care how tough your Thousands of Terminators are. They're dead. I've done it. Yeah. I've done it, and I've played against Tau, and I've put my Scarab Occult Terminators out there, and they've gotten wiped. And guess what? They've gotten wiped, and there was like 500 points more of Tau to shoot at me.
Yeah, it happens. Like,
you know, like that's it.
even through the buffs, even through 4-up invul, through -1 to hit, everything, you will just clear them.
Yep, you'll go down. You will go down. That's just it's going to happen. So you can't be doing things like that against them. You have to play the passive game. Now, if the board is slightly heavier, and that does favor the Thousand Suns quite a bit, because in that point you go, right, well, I'll take engage on all fronts like I'm planning, and I'll go and get like 8 points on engage on all fronts, but I'm also going to get like 13 on banners for standing still over here, and I'm also going to get 12 on Warp Ritual for coming out there, casting it and running away. So you go, well, there's 12 on Warp Ritual, there's like 12, 13 on banners, 8 on my other secondary. What about yourself? And the Tower Player's like, well, I'll get 12 on decisive action. And you're like, okay, yes, you will. And then they'll go, well, and I'll also get 9 on relays. And you go, okay, yes, you will. But now I'm 12 points up on you on the third secondary. What are you going to take? And that's when the Tower Player's got to sit there and go, I can't take engage because decisive action is in that category and that's too good not to take. And then they go, oh, I can't take anything like banners or anything because I've got positional relay, or I can't take relays because I've taken banners, and that's it. And you're like, right, what do I do now? I've got to kill. And that's where the no prisoners comes in. They're either going to take a Bore the Witch or no prisoners. Now, guys, if you are a Tower player, I would recommend as well, in that situation, take no prisoners. Because if you take a Bore, all of a sudden these 3 units of Zangors that come out there to get all the points, they don't give you anything. Because they're not psychers. And if you do that and you haven't taken no prisoners, they'll start sending their bloody flamers out later on in the game to get engaged on all fronts and just die. Yeah. But that's fine. If you've killed 3 units of goats and 2 units of flamers, that's fine. I've scored 10 points and engaged, but you've got no points. They've not given you any points because you didn't take no prisoners. So take no prisoners, because then everything you kill gives you points. But like I say, that third secondary, the Thousand Suns are still up on the Tau there. So I think that one comes down to what the terrain looks like and how easy the Tau can get to shooting the defensively playing Thousand Suns. Because, in my opinion, on good terrain, like over here in the UKTC terrain and stuff like that, I think Thousand Suns have the advantage. But the minute you switch to like player place terrain and stuff like that, I actually think Tau have the advantage, in my opinion. So that's just what I wanted to say there at the end for what can play against Thousand Suns. So that's basically it, right, Aaron? Like I think Harlequins can give him a good game, Tau can give him a good game, board dependent, and Blood Angels is their bad matchup, but there's not very many people playing in the meta.
Pretty much win.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, just look at that. How many factions are in the game? Like 20 something? Almost 30 factions? And you go, okay, Blood Angels is your bad match, like your actual bad matchup. Not very many people playing that at the moment, so you don't have to worry about that much about that. So Tau and Harlequins is what you've got, and both of those games are in your favor as a Thousand Suns player. The other player has to outplay you or pick better secondaries than you, or hope that you don't have a great turn or your plans go wrong to be able to beat you.
Yeah, and especially like even half of that with Tau, all you have to do is just slightly tweak your list, and it's just fully in your favor, and then so it's a great place for Thousand Suns to be. Right now, if you are a T-Suns player.
Exactly. So there you have it, guys. Thank you very much for watching today. I hope you guys have learned quite a bit about Thousand Suns there, why they're good, what can play against them, why they're at the top of the meta right now. And like we say, guys, if you have any requests for a faction focus you'd like us to do, please leave them in the comments below, and we'll make sure we get around to it. We 100% will get around to it. And like I say, guys, if you've watched this far and you haven't already, please hit the subscribe button, notifications bell at the bottom of the screen right now, so you know each time we release one of these videos. And if you enjoy our competitive content and you'd like more exclusive content, amazing discounts off our web store, or if you'd just like to support the channel because you like what we do here, then head over to glasshammergaming.co.uk and join the elite. And we'll catch you next week with another faction focus. Bye, guys.
Bye.
Live stream Warhammer 40k games, meta-analysis, tournament reports. Hi guys, I'm Manny. I am one of the co-founders of Glasshammer Gaming. I'm one of the current top 5 ranked ITC players in the world, and I play for my international team, Team England, and we are the current reigning world champions. So we started Glasshammer Gaming at the start because we play a very high level, and we realized that a lot of content creators online were more narrative and not really focused on the competitive aspect of the game, and we thought it'd be really cool if we made battle reports, live streams and tactics videos to help players improve in their competitive game, and also for people who are looking to start getting into competitive play, help them along the way and give them some tips. We also have an elite service, and if you join up, you get more in-depth meta-analysis, competitive tournament reports, and even bigger discounts on our store, which are incredible in the first place, and you're basically getting some of the best discounts in the world. If you join up, you also get access to our Discord server, where there are lots of like-minded people who also want to be very competitive and play to the best of their ability, and you'll be added in there with all of them. There are different channels for every army, every faction, so you can talk to other players who play the same armies as you and improve together.